Okay, so today's, obviously here we're coming down to the wire relative to the first preseason game. So we've got a couple days to work on getting ready for Washington. Obviously, there's a lot of things that we need to work on no matter who we play. So that'll be part of it too. But kind of the start of preparing for a team process. So um, that's the next phase of what we're into. And just kind of progress all the way through training camp with um, doing things that we need to do and start to prepare for opponents and so forth as that transitions into a regular season type of schedule. So I think we'll gain a little bit of strength in numbers here, hopefully, with a couple days of rehabilitation and rest and so forth. So hopefully we can go out there and have a couple of good days practice and be ready to go Thursday night against Washington. He did everything he could. Did everything he could. It's unfortunate that didn't work out, but I don't know how he could have put any more into it than he did. Well, Randy was, Randy was, it was a very special relationship. I think it's just logistically, you just can't have the kind of relationship with everybody. There's just so many players and so many hours in the day. That was one that, through a variety of circumstances, and probably more the way that Randy came onto the team, and again, other circumstances that were involved there, it just kind of evolved that way. I don't think any of us necessarily planned it. It just worked out. But I learned a lot from Randy. Randy had a big impact on me as a coach. He taught me the game from a perspective that I had never really seen before or understood before, and so I'll always be grateful to him for that, for doing that. And um, but he was great. He's a great person to have on the team. He did a lot of in his own way, team building events like the Halloween party, things like that. That a lot of times went below the radar. He didn't do them for publicity. He didn't do them because wanted to be recognized for it. He did them because he wanted to do it, and it was the right thing to do. Brought a lot of kids up to games every week. Bussed kids up from West Virginia, gave them tickets, bought them tickets so they'd come to the games at here at Gillette Stadium, and things like that that a lot of people don't know about. But that was just how generous and what a big heart Randy had. No, I'd be hot when we play. Whatever it is out there, we'll play through it. So if it's hot, cold, windy, still, sunny, cloudy, rainy, we're going to get all of them sooner or later. So let's work through it. Yeah, each situation's different. I can't. There's no straight answer on that. Every situation's different, and in the end, I would just say I have always tried to do what's best for the football team, and I've always tried to combine that with what's best for the individual and the player and his career. And I've talked to players about that, and talked to them about their situation, and whenever possible, we try to come to the best mutual decision. That's not always possible, but when it isn't, we try to create a situation that's the best we can make of that situation. So making the best of a bad situation, if that's what it is. Um, so, yeah, very experienced player. He's got good size, had good production in the league. See how it goes. No question, Alan. That's exactly what it is. It's when you're going up against a team like yesterday and today, which we would have done last year, then would have to put a lot of things in ahead of that. Would change the installation schedule and the pattern and so forth. Just not saying one's good or bad; they're just different. And yeah, we're absolutely on a different pace, 100%. And there are some advantages to that, and there are certainly some advantages to working against a different opponent. So we'll take the opportunities we have and try to make the most of it. But yeah, 100% that's the case. Yeah, I'm sure it will. Yeah, sure. Well, he's a smart guy. I'm sure. I know he has recall from some of the things that we do that Josh did at Denver that are carryover. You know, there's a lot of differences, but there's certainly a lot of carryover. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be valuable. Yeah, we've talked about those things, but actually do them in game competitive situations. It's a little bit different. We saw the Hall of Fame game. A couple of situations came up in that game that are good learning experiences for our team. And we'll use those as teaching tools. And we'll experience it Thursday night, and I'm sure we'll learn something there and succeed in games. Well, I think that Al Riveron and the officiating staff strive for consistency. And will they get it 100%? Probably not. But that's what they're working towards. I don't think this is fundamentally any different than, like, say, the defenseless receivers situation that came up a few years ago. And over the course of time, I would say everybody has adjusted to that rule, the officials, the players, the fans, and so forth. And I think we all have a much better understanding and could articulate that a lot better than we could 3-4 years ago. That comes through experience. So part of this rule will probably involve some of the same progression. There may be plays that this play was called and this is the same play and it wasn't called, and vice versa. But over the course of time, as those things get ironed out, and players and coaches and officials and fans and so forth all can come collectively together on the same understanding of the rule and its enforcement and interpretation, then I think that'll improve over time, like it usually does. So, where we are on that scale now, I mean, are we at 20? Are we at 50? Are we at 80? That's, I don't know. But I think at some point it'll move towards, again, I think the defenseless receiver, not defenseless receiver, defenseless player, because that rule now has been expanded past receivers to players, which I think, again, is a good rule that we all understand. It's good for player safety. I think the league, the officiating department, the coaches and the players have all adapted to it, and it's become an accepted part of the game, both in college and professional football. That's good for the game. So none of us want bad plays. How do you eliminate them? How do you coach them? How do you officiate them? That's a little bit of a process. It's not easy. If it was simple, it'd be done. It's hard, but got a lot of good people working on it. I think everybody has good intentions, and we'll see how it comes out, how quickly it comes together.